How rich is Rishi Sunak, the UK Prime Minister? A new Prime Minister has taken office in Britain. Well, what's the first thing that pops into your curious mind when you hear the news? You probably have thought bubbles stuffed with crisp sterling banknotes making you ponder how wealthy Britain's PM is, and that's why you're here. Rishi Sunak, currently the most powerful individual in the United Kingdom, has gained attention for a number of firsts. He's the nation's youngest Prime Minister in 210 years and the first non-Christian person of color to hold the position. Several sources claim that Rishi Sunak and his wife Akshata Murthy have a combined net worth of more than a whopping $800 million. Being wealthier than the British royal family is what brought their fortunes of Britain's Prime Minister into the spotlight. His affluence just outweighs King Charles III's personal fortune of $500 million. News sources state that the couple has 4 homes worth millions of dollars that are spread out across the UK and US. It's clearly evident that he couldn't have amassed all this wealth solely through his position as a politician, because Rishi Sunak is entitled to an annual pay of £164,080, or roughly $198,000 in his capacity as Prime Minister. So how did Mr. Sunak come to own all of his hundreds of millions of pounds? Is it the fruit of his prior work as a banker, or does he have other sources of income that remain a secret? This video will take you on a ride through the UK Prime Minister's early life in Southampton, his excellent schooling, his quick rise through the political hierarchy, and his tenure as a UK Chancellor, his source of wealth, and much more. So stick around to the very end to know everything you need to know about his wealth, from his lavish residences to his new residence in number 10 Downing Street. Rishi Sunak was born on May 12, 1980 in Southampton, Hampshire, England, to immigrant Indian parents. While his mother ran a pharmacy, his father's a physician. Of the 3 children, Rishi is the oldest. Rishi Sunak had the privilege of attending Winchester College and was the head boy there, despite not having been born into wealth. After that, he went to Lincoln College in Oxford to study philosophy, politics, and economics. He received his first-class degree in 2001. As a Fulbright scholar, he also received an MBA from Stanford University in California in 2006. Sunak worked as a campaign intern at the Conservative Party headquarters while he was a student at Oxford University. Following his graduation, Sunak began his professional career as an analyst for the investment bank Goldman Sachs in 2001. He eventually became a partner in the extremely lucrative hedge fund companies, the Children's Investment Fund Management and Theleme Partners. This suggests Sunak could have been a multimillionaire by as early as his 20s. At the 2015 general election in Richmond and North Yorkshire, Sunak was elected to the House of Commons after joining the Conservative Party in 2010. In the 2018 cabinet reshuffle, Sunak was named the Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Local Government in Prime Minister Theresa May's second administration following the 2017 general election. In July 2019, then Prime Minister Boris Johnson named Sunak as the Chief Secretary to the Treasury. He was then promoted to Chancellor of the Exchequer in the 2020 cabinet shuffle following the 2019 general election. In case you're wondering, the government's Chief Financial Minister is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Rishi Sunak was chosen without opposition as the head of the Conservative Party on October 24, 2022, and King Charles III declared him the 3rd British Prime Minister the following day, making him the first British, Asian, and Hindu to hold the title. With his new job as Prime Minister, Mr. Sunak has a lot on his plate. In addition to the ongoing worker strikes urging for more pay and the increasing costs of living, which have called into doubt Sunak's administration's rationality and understanding of the hardships of common people, he also has a number of international issues to handle. He's probably taking a sizable sum of money home as a compensation for all the stress. According to reports, Mr. Sunak would start receiving a yearly salary of about £164,000 for his new position. This is divided between the Prime Minister's salary, which is £79,496, and their MP salary, which accounts for the remaining sum. In addition to his salary as PM, Mr. Sunak will also get a yearly allowance of up to £115,000 to help with the expenses related to fulfilling public duties. Is it too soon to think that the new Prime Minister will use this allowance for its intended purpose rather than keeping it neatly in his wallet? Interestingly enough, the Prime Minister's pay is actually lower than that of other world leaders. For instance, the annual salary of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz exceeds £280,000, while Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau makes more than £200,000. This doesn't make him any less wealthy. Actually, he's incredibly rich, not just rich. Sunak's lavish lifestyle has been exposed numerous times throughout his political career. Thanks to his previous work in finance and his marriage to Mrs. Murthy, an heiress to a billion-dollar fortune who also owns stocks in her father's company, the former chancellor is reportedly the wealthiest British politician corporation to date, but the question of the new prime minister's actual worth still stands. Sunak and his wife Akshata are estimated to be worth £730 million by the Sunday Times Rich List. They even rank 222nd on the annual list. Since Ms. Murty has contributed significantly to Mr. Sunak's fortune building, she deserves a brief discussion. Akshata is a 42-year-old fashion designer and the daughter of N.R. Narayana Murty, co-founder and former chairman of the Indian tech giant Infosys, whose net worth is estimated by Forbes to be $4.5 billion. The majority of her and Sunak's combined wealth is made up of her own $715 million, or 0.93% stake in the company. In addition to having a stake in Infosys, she's the owner of Catamaran Ventures UK, her father's venture capital and private equity company's British division. Prior to entering politics in 2015, Sunak, who once held 50% of the business, sold his ownership to Murty. According to reports, the corporation has recently made investments in the Dara 5 investment group, which is funded by the Qatari royal family, Hallmark, SpaceX, Reddit, and the gaming company Loco. Murty also owns 5% of International Market Management, the company that owns M Associates Mauritius. Ms. Murty is said to be richer than the late queen because of her stakes in the corporation, which are worth over £430 million. Wondering about the late queen's net worth? Check out our video on the queen's wealth here. However, Murty got her husband into trouble earlier in 2022 when it came to light that she'd been claiming non-domicile status in the UK, which allowed her to avoid paying British taxes on the considerable income she received abroad. She was able to save an estimated £20 million in taxes as a result. Following a backlash from the public, Murty's spokesperson declared in April that she'd begin paying UK taxes on her worldwide earnings immediately and for the previous tax year. It was revealed at this same time that Sunak had a US green card while serving as Chancellor of Exchequer. According to his spokesperson, he returned it the previous year. When lawmakers make their own rules, grant their spouses non-dom status when they're chancellors, obtain green cards in the United States in case things don't work out, change their family's tax filing status, enact confusing tax policies, and fail to pay their fair share of taxes, it greatly irks the general public. The real estate investments of the Sunak family should also be mentioned. Sunak will now take up residence at 10 Downing Street as the new prime minister, but Sunak and Murty, who have 2 daughters, have their own individual real estate holdings, much like the British monarch. The family has 4 residences worth an estimated $18.3 million that are spread out throughout the UK and California. Manor House, a 2-story 19th century country estate in North Yorkshire that is heritage listed and for which they paid $2.3 million, is described as being the largest property in their collection. According to reports, $450,000 has been invested to build a leisure area with a 40-foot pool, a gym, and an outdoor tennis court. Their primary residence is in Kensington, a 4-bedroom terraced house they bought for $7.1 million in 2010. In the adjoining neighborhood of South Kensington, Sunak was also reported to own an apartment there that he purchased in 2001 for roughly $300,000. They are also said to own a $7.5 million oceanfront penthouse in California, where Sunak and Murty first met as Stanford University undergraduates. Apart from their ownership of business shares, the Sunak's actual net worth and the source of their fortune aren't entirely disclosed to the public. Regardless of the actual sons, Rishi Sunak is certainly the richest member of parliament to ever govern. The Sunaks couldn't be reached for a remark, and even if they could, it's hard to imagine that they'd reveal anything about their precise fortune. It was revealed in a survey where participants were asked to choose one word to sum up Sunak. The participants unsurprisingly chose rich. What one word do you think best sums up the new British Prime Minister? Do let us know in the comments below.